Yellowstone National Park is one of the world's most breathtaking natural wonders, with its vast stretches of wilderness, majestic mountains, and geothermal features. But beneath its beauty lies a potentially deadly force, the Yellowstone Caldera, the largest active volcanic system in the world. While Yellowstone's geysers and hot springs are a popular attraction for tourists, they also serve as a reminder of the park's turbulent geological history. In this video, we'll take a closer look at the park's warning system, which has been put in place to monitor the threat of a potential volcanic eruption. We'll explore how the park's scientists use advanced technology to detect the smallest changes in Yellowstone's geothermal features, and how this information is used to give visitors a last chance to evacuate the area before a potential eruption. Make sure to stay with us till the end as we delve into the details and uncover the facts behind this major warning. Scientists have issued a warning that a massive volcano in eastern California, known as the Long Valley Caldera, is on the brink of eruption. This announcement has sent shockwaves across the world, as the potential consequences of such an event are catastrophic. The Long Valley Caldera was created 760,000 years ago as a result of a massive eruption that caused the collapse of a magma chamber. This created a huge bowl-shaped crater in the earth that remains a hotbed of volcanic activity to this day. The implications of an eruption from the Long Valley Caldera are immense. It is so large and powerful that even a smaller magnitude eruption can affect regions as far away as Nevada, Sacramento, and Reno. The eruption would cause significant damage to areas closer to the volcano, including the popular resort town of Mammoth Lakes, situated within the caldera. This is a densely populated region with several small towns, and the potential dangers they face are not being adequately addressed. The last eruption of the Long Valley Caldera covered 2,200 square kilometers with hot volcanic material. If the volcano were to erupt again with a higher magnitude, it could trigger a new ice age. This is why scientists are monitoring the activity at the volcano very closely. The volcano has already shown signs that it is about to erupt, and the world is not ready for the disaster it will bring. One of the primary concerns is the toxic ash that the eruption will leave behind. The ejected ash would cover a vast area, potentially impacting a significant part of the United States of America. This would cause widespread destruction, and the cleanup would be an immense challenge for authorities. The Long Valley Caldera is a ticking time bomb, and it's just a matter of time before it erupts. Scientists have been studying the Long Valley Caldera for years, and recent discoveries have revealed that the volcano is more dangerous than previously thought. The impending eruption could trigger a new ice age, with devastating consequences for the world. The eruption would cause a global cooling effect that could last for years, causing significant changes in the climate. The first indication that something was amiss came in the form of a series of small earthquakes that began to rattle the region. While these tiny tremors may have gone unnoticed by most people, they set alarm bells ringing among scientists who are always on the lookout for signs of volcanic activity. As more and more earthquakes were recorded in the areas surrounding the Long Valley Caldera, scientists began to grow increasingly concerned. They knew that this massive volcano had the potential to be extremely dangerous if it were to erupt, and they feared that the signs they were seeing indicated that an eruption was imminent. Despite the lack of any visible signs of volcanic activity, such as smoke or lava flows, the United States Geological Survey, USGS, designated the Long Valley Caldera as a high-risk area. This body is responsible for monitoring volcanoes and earthquakes around the world, and its experts recognize the potential danger that the Long Valley Caldera posed to millions of people. The situation in the region was extremely tense, with many people living in the closest town to the caldera, Mammoth Lakes, feeling particularly vulnerable. The tiny earthquakes that were occurring there were particularly worrying, with some measuring as high as 3.9 on the Richter scale. As the number of earthquakes continued to rise, so did fears of an imminent eruption. Even conspiracy theorists like Steve Quayle were talking about the situation, with some affirming that the huge number of earthquakes was a hazardous indicator of a pending volcanic eruption. But the USGS remained cautious. pointing out that while the situation was certainly concerning, there was no definitive evidence to suggest that an eruption was imminent. Despite the uncertainty surrounding the impending eruption, researchers were able to determine the cause of the series of earthquakes that preceded the warning. At the Seismological Society of America annual meeting, Emily Montgomery Brown and her colleagues presented research that showed a correlation between seismicity and stream discharge. They found that during very wet periods, shallow seismicity rates were over 35 times higher compared to dry periods. While scientists have always suspected a connection between earthquakes and heavy rainfall or runoff, the proof connecting the two has been somewhat vague. Montgomery Brown and her team discovered that meltwater refueled the water in the dry area, altering the pore pressure in the rock layers located 1 to 3 kilometers below the ground surface. This, in turn, triggered small earthquakes. The shallow nature of the earthquakes, alongside their bizarre distribution, helped Montgomery Brown determine that they were caused by seeping water and not volcanic processes related to the Long Valley caldera. Dave Shelley, Montgomery Brown's USGS colleague, discovered that the earthquakes were actually propagating deeper down from the surface and other swarms around volcanic areas, such as Yellowstone National Park. In those areas, the earthquakes tend to start in a deeper seismic zone about 6 to 8 kilometers deep and often move upward toward the surface. Detailed geological maps of the swarm area to the south of Long Valley caldera depict steeply dipping, nearly vertical rock layers that act like a fast conduit for meltwater. This discovery provided significant insight into the geological processes occurring beneath the surface of the Long Valley caldera. In the early 1980s, a warning system was implemented twice, which led to public warnings about volcanic activity. However, after the system was dropped in 1983, officials were hesitant to issue routine warnings, as they did not want to scare away tourists and risk damaging the local economy. As a result, officials faced a difficult decision of when to alert the public in the event of an imminent eruption. Dr. Richard Andrews, Chief Deputy Director of the Earthquake and Volcano Program at the California Office of Emergency Services, acknowledged the challenge of making the right call. "We don't want to cry wolf," he said. "They cried wolf earlier in Mammoth Lakes and it didn't work well." Mammoth Lakes, a popular resort village located near the Long Valley caldera, is home to 5,500 year-round residents and is known for its ski slopes, hiking trails, and geologic features, including the oval-mouth way-collapsed volcano that is the Long Valley caldera. Volcanic activity has persisted in the area for hundreds of thousands of years, but it wasn't until modern geologists began monitoring the area that renewed signs of life were observed. In 1980, 4 earthquakes that measured 6 on the Richter scale occurred, which led to research discovering that the lava dome thought to underlie the caldera had risen by 10 inches between late 1979 and early 1980. Small earthquakes continued through 1982 as the dome continued to grow. And on May 27, 1982, federal geologists issued a notice of potential volcanic hazard at the lowest alert level in the system. The message was issued before a local weekend festival, which had an immediate impact as tourists stayed home and the local economy collapsed. Housing prices dropped 40% overnight, and dozens of businesses closed over the next few years. Despite these challenges, scientists and local officials are continuing to work closely with federal geologists to create a new warning system for volcanic hazards in the area. They acknowledge the difficult balance between protecting public safety and avoiding economic damage, but recognize the importance of being prepared for any potential volcanic activity in the future.